Yeah, my name is Molefe Kete Asante. I'm professor and chair of the Department of Africology at Temple University in Philadelphia. I am so happy to be here at this great Harlem Book Festival and Fair to share with you ideas about African agency and about publishing and about writing because this gathering of these wonderful people from all over the world, and certainly from the New York area and all over the United States, is an excellent place for me to talk about a new publishing group, a relatively vigorous publishing group called UWP. UWP, Universal Right Publication, is a company that is founded by the publisher, Dr. Ayo Sikai. And that publishing house has recently published 7 of my books, including a book I'll talk a little bit about in a minute, Revolutionary Pedagogy, a primer for teachers of Black children. I will also talk about a book by another author that they have published, which is actually The Afrocentric School by Dr. Na Dove. This is a blueprint for how you set up Afrocentric schools in your communities, in your neighborhoods, in your cities, and in fact in your countries. If you want to set up an Afrocentric school system in Africa, you need to read this book. If you are in Brazil and in Salvador, you need to read this book. Wherever you are in the world where there are Black children or African children, you need an Afrocentric school book. The Afrocentric school book is a book that really is a blueprint for how you can set up a school, organize a school according to African principles. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about what is so remarkable about this publishing company. It was the first publishing company of many that I've had in the 94 books that I've published. I've published with many of the larger publishing houses in the world, and I have published with some of the small publishing houses in the world. But one of the things that I had a great experience with was that Dr. Sakai immediately understood when I told her that I wanted to write for her publishing company, but I wanted to write books that emphasize African agency. That didn't scare her. It scares a lot of people. When you start talking about African agency, oh, well, they're going to be talking about separatism. They're going to be talking about this, that, and the other. No. African agency means clearly that African people ought to be able to tell their own narratives through their own voices and to see the world through their own eyes. And if we can see the world through our own eyes, tell our own stories, and represent ourselves in human history, in that way, what we will have done is to have overcome a lot of the problems that we found when we were snatched from the continent of Africa and brought to the Americas, whether the Caribbean or North America or South America. And there are millions of African people who live in the United States, who live in Brazil, who live in Colombia, Uruguay, Peru, Ecuador, Chile, Argentina, Guyana, Suriname, all over South America, and even what people call Central America, like Nicaragua and Costa Rica. But really they're North America, right? Like Mexico. All the Black people are everywhere. Canada, Black people are everywhere in the Americas because of the European slave trade. So we talk about agency, and our books are about agency. It's about education, not so much about just schooling, but about education. And so I want in a minute go back to revolutionary pedagogy, but truly to introduce you to the Afrocentric School by Dr. Na Dove. Dr. Na Dove wrote this book, and this book is based on research done for UNICEF and in West Africa. She did that research. She's the author of other books, including the very famous book, African Mothers, that was published by SUNY Press, State University of New York Press. But she also chose to write for Universal Right Publication, UWP. And she wrote this book, The Afrocentric School, with that in mind. It is a powerful book, a penetrating look at what culture can do to educate our children. It's just like an incredible book that really works well with revolutionary pedagogy, the book that I wrote. And I wrote the book Revolutionary Pedagogy because one of the things that I was concerned with was that people were confusing multicultural education with what was necessary for us to understand what was revolutionary. I also wanted to deal with the question of what was wrong with American education. I want to situate revolutionary pedagogy. I want to talk about the pedagogy of revolution and knowledge for revolutionary pedagogists. This was important. Let me tell you why it's important. Because if you start talking about education in the American public school systems, a lot of people will tell you, black children are the problem. Well, no, it's not black children. What I discovered is not black children. It is what we teach. It's the teachers, it's the curriculum, it's all of that stuff is the problem. Black children are very bright and intelligent and smart and capable. But the way we define African American children in the classroom is what has marginalized our children. And not only that, it has made some of them angry and upset. You walk into a classroom and you see brilliant black minds, children eager to learn, dynamic, with energy. And then after a few years being in school, they're lethargic. And you wonder, what happened to them? I remember them. Well, what happened to them was that people have forced children, African American children, away from appreciating the fact that they are intelligent. They are intelligent beings. And you have tried to marginalize our children so that our children do not understand or appreciate who they really are. We're the mothers and fathers of human civilization. Homo sapiens start in Africa. No other place where Homo sapiens start except in Africa. No, we are the mothers and fathers, not just of humanity and civilization, but we're the mothers and fathers of geometry. You couldn't have the pyramids being built without geometry. That's in Africa. That's where it started. Physiology, that's where it starts. Mummification starts in Africa. So one of the things that I do in revolutionary pedagogy, I say to the teacher, start at the beginning. You walk into a classroom, you let the children know. I don't care where they come from, what their culture background is. You let those children know that all humanity began in Africa. Let them know that all civilization began in Africa. Those are two fundamental facts that will change everything. It would change all the knowledge you have about everything. You can't come up with anything that doesn't have a foundation in Africa. Homo sapiens, that is like modern humans, us, you, all of us. We spent 3/4 of the time of Homo sapiens in Africa. Can you imagine that? 3/4. It's only 70,000 years ago that Homo sapiens left Africa. But most of the time has been spent in Africa. So we worked out all of our cosmologies, our naming system. We worked out how to cross a stream, a river, how to go, and catch animals. We worked all that stuff out in Africa. before we even left the continent. And before 70,000 years ago, everybody in the world was black. That's science. It is a fact. But our children sitting in the classrooms don't know that. Our white brothers and sisters don't know it. Our Asian brothers and sisters don't know it. Our Latino brothers and sisters don't know it. Why? Because we don't teach it. It's not revolutionary what we teach. I wrote this book, Revolutionary Pedagogy, to say, wait a minute, there is something that's missing. And that's why we have so many issues in our schools. And fortunately, there are teachers, principals, there are superintendents who have begun to see the light. And by seeing the light, they have begun to order for their schools revolutionary pedagogy, as well as the Afrocentric School, the book by Nadav. So Molefe, Kete, Asante, Revolutionary Pedagogy, Primer for Teachers of Black Children, and the Afrocentric School by Nadav. I want to thank you so much for listening, and I'm delighted to be here. And I give honor and praise always to the African ancestors who made it possible for us to be able to speak to this day. And may the festival continue forever. And may we always be blessed by learning and reading. Thank you very much. Asante Sada.